Here's a fun fact. Maple syrup has been around for centuries, long before it became a favorite for pancakes. Native people used to tap trees to collect sap and turn it into syrup. The process is still the same today, but now it's a huge industry. So, what's changed? What stayed the same? And why do we still love that sweet flavor with every bite? Well, let's find out how maple syrup is made in the factory. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Process Powerhouse channel. Leave us a comment to let us know what mealtime favorites you'd like to see next. Just don't get stuck on maple syrup. Maple syrup has been around long before your Sunday brunch, and its history is pretty sweet. The first people to use this sugary treat were Native Americans. Long before pancakes were a thing, they found out that maple sap could be turned into syrup. With just trees, fire, and some clever thinking, they tapped the trees, collected the sap, and boiled it over an open flame. Imagine doing all this under the stars, not your usual camping trip. No wonder they saw maple syrup as a gift from the gods. It really was liquid gold. When European settlers arrived, they quickly learned the sweet technique and saw they could collect more sap and boil it in larger amounts. What started as a slow process of boiling small amounts became a big industry as people found ways to do it faster and easier. What once took hours of boiling over a fire turned into a booming business. It's like the settlers went from, let's try this, to, let's make money off this maple magic, pretty fast. Word spread, and soon maple syrup was the latest craze. Today, maple syrup has gone from being a wild, tree-harvested treat to a multi-million-dollar business. While most of us find it in plastic bottles at the store, there are still places that use traditional methods, boiling sap over an open fire and keeping the craft alive. The best part is that even with all the new technology, the way it's made hasn't changed much. It's still about tapping trees, collecting sap, and turning it into the sweet, sticky syrup we love. It's like a little bit of history in every drizzle. Let's be real, whether it's the old way or the factory method, nothing beats that rich, sweet syrup on pancakes, waffles, or honestly, just about anything. Enough history lessons. Let's take a look inside the factory. The process of making maple syrup starts in early spring when sugar maple trees start waking up from winter. This time of year is key for collecting sap because the change in temperature between day and night is what makes it flow. During the day, temperatures rise above freezing, letting the sap flow, and at night, it drops below freezing, creating pressure in the tree. This pressure helps push the sap up through the tree and out of the tap hole, ready to be collected. The sap is mostly water with only 2 to 3% sugar, so it's just the start of the sweet process. The sap flow can change based on the weather, and producers keep an eye on it to get the most sap. Tapping a tree means drilling a small hole, about 2-3 inches deep, into the trunk. The hole has to be the right depth to avoid hurting the tree. A spout, or spile, is then placed in the hole to direct the sap into a collection system. The trees used for tapping must be at least 30 years old to make sure they're strong enough for it. In modern setups, sap is often collected using tubing that connects several trees, which can stretch for miles, making it easier to gather sap. Some systems even use sensors to track the flow and make sure the collection process is as efficient as possible. A single tree can produce 20 to 30 gallons of sap during the sugaring season. However, it takes about 40 gallons of sap to make just 1 gallon of syrup, so collecting sap efficiently is key. The sugar content in sap changes throughout the season. Early season sap is sweeter and lighter in color, while later season sap has a stronger flavor. This affects the taste and grade of the syrup. The timing of sap collection is important because it influences the flavor and grade. Sap is usually harvested over 4-6 weeks in early spring when temperatures are just right. Many producers experiment with different harvesting times to get the best balance of sweetness and richness. Deciding to tap a tree is a careful choice. Tapping needs to be done in a way that doesn't harm the tree's health. Drilling too deep or tapping too often can damage the tree and reduce sap flow in future years. Tapping should be done in moderation to keep the tree safe. After the season ends, the tap hole is sealed, and the tree is left to heal, making sure it stays healthy for future harvests. Experienced syrup makers know how to balance getting the most sap while keeping the forest healthy. They also watch over the forest's health, knowing that responsible practices will help future generations of syrup makers. After the sap is tapped from the trees, the next challenge is getting it to a central collection point. In the past, this was done by hand, collecting sap from buckets on each tree. But now, many large operations use a system of plastic tubing that connects trees like a sap highway. The tubes are set up along rows of trees, letting sap flow directly into a central tank. This makes collecting sap faster and more consistent, especially for big operations, and reduces the need for manual labor, saving time and effort. To make the process even better, many operations now use vacuum pumps to boost sap flow. These pumps create negative pressure in the tubing, which helps pull the sap out of the trees more efficiently. This is especially useful during cooler weather, when the natural pressure difference between day and night isn't as strong. Vacuum pumps can increase sap yields by up to 20%, making them a valuable tool for improving production. They also help extend the tapping season and make the sap flow more consistent, leading to higher yields. Some producers are even using solar-powered pumps to reduce energy use and make the process more eco-friendly. After the sap is collected, it's transferred to large storage tanks near the collection points. This reduces the time the sap is exposed to the weather and keeps it fresh. The tanks come in different sizes, from small ones for local producers to large, high-tech tanks with sensors for big operations. These tanks keep the sap at the right temperature to prevent it from spoiling. If the sap gets too hot, it could spoil and ruin the syrup. Regular checks and maintenance are important to keep the sap fresh and high quality. The sap is stored until it's ready to be boiled into syrup, and the key to good storage is keeping the right temperature. If the sap is stored too warm, it will ferment and affect the syrup's quality. Producers make sure to store the sap in cool places and closely watch the temperature. Keeping the right conditions helps the sap stay fresh until it's time to process it. This careful monitoring lets producers handle sap in batches, making sure each batch is high quality. While in storage, the sap is regularly checked for any signs of spoilage to ensure only the best sap is used. Now comes the exciting part, boiling the sap to make syrup. Since the sap is mostly water, it has to be boiled for a long time to evaporate most of the water, leaving behind the sweet sugars that make maple syrup so tasty. The sap is poured into a large, shallow pan called an evaporator, where it's heated over burners. The bigger the evaporator, the faster the process. In modern facilities, evaporators can handle thousands of gallons of sap each day, allowing for quick production. Smaller operations often use wood-fired evaporators to give the syrup a unique smoky flavor. Some syrup makers even offer smoky maple syrup for those looking for a different twist on the classic taste. As the sap boils, it creates a lot of steam, which needs to be vented out. The shallow pan design of the evaporator helps speed up the evaporation by giving more surface area. This is important because it takes about 39 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of syrup. The longer the sap boils, the thicker and sweeter it gets. Workers closely watch the temperature to make sure the sap doesn't overcook and lose its flavor. They use tools like hydrometers and refractometers to measure the sugar content and make sure the syrup has the right balance of sweetness, around 66 to 67% sugar. These tools help producers get the perfect syrup every time. The boiling process uses a lot of energy, needing plenty of fuel like wood or oil to keep the sap boiling for hours. As the sap thickens, the sugar content becomes stronger, and the syrup gets its rich color. Early in the season, the syrup is lighter, and by the end, it's darker and has a stronger flavor. Timing is key. Boiling too long can make the syrup burnt and bitter, while not boiling enough can leave it too watery. Experienced syrup makers know how to balance these factors to create syrup that's just right in sweetness, color, and thickness. This balance comes from years of experience and careful attention. The whole process needs constant attention because even small changes in temperature can affect the syrup's quality. Watching the syrup carefully as it boils makes sure only the best product moves forward. As the syrup gets close to being done, the sweet smell of boiling sap fills the air. For many people visiting maple farms, this smell brings back memories. This part of the process, though long and hard work, brings the syrup to life and is key to making high-quality syrup. Many syrup makers see this stage as the heart of their craft, where tradition and skill come together. Once the sap is boiled into syrup, it goes through a crucial filtering process to make sure it's pure and smooth. During boiling, tiny particles called sugar sand or niter form. These particles are harmless but can make the syrup look cloudy or feel gritty if not removed. Sugar sand forms when minerals and other solids settle out of the sap as it boils. It's important to filter these out to create clean, high-quality syrup. Many producers take pride in making syrup that's clear and smooth, as these qualities are linked to premium maple syrup. Filtering not only makes the syrup look better, but also helps keep its quality high. Clear syrup is often seen as more premium, and removing impurities gives it a smooth, silky texture that tastes great. After filtering, the syrup is checked one last time for consistency to make sure no particles are left that could affect the flavor or texture. Some producers might filter it again to make sure their syrup is perfect. This careful attention to detail is what sets small syrup makers apart from large-scale operations. The filtration process is key to determining the quality of the syrup. Small, artisanal syrup makers often take extra care with this step, sometimes filtering by hand using cloth bags, for a more traditional method. Larger operations may use machines to filter on a bigger scale. No matter how it's done, the goal is always to create a smooth, clear syrup that meets high taste and quality standards. The final product shows the skill and hard work of the syrup maker. After the syrup is filtered, it's graded based on color, flavor, and sugar content. Grading is important because it shows both producers and consumers the quality and taste of the syrup. In North America, syrup is usually graded as golden, light, amber, or dark, strong. Lighter syrups are harvested earlier in the season when the sap is sweeter and has more sugar. These syrups are milder and great for pancakes, waffles, and breakfast dishes. Darker syrups, harvested later, have a stronger flavor, which some people like for cooking and baking. The grading system also helps producers manage their stock and send the right syrup to the right markets. Golden syrup is known for its light, mild flavor and is usually the first syrup made in the season. As the season goes on, the syrup gets darker and its flavor gets stronger, leading to amber and dark syrups. Chefs and bakers often prefer these darker syrups for their bold, caramel-like taste. The grading system also affects the price. Lighter syrups are seen as more premium and usually cost more. Some buyers look for specific grades based on what they need, and knowing the grading system helps them pick the best syrup for their uses. After the syrup is graded, it's packaged into bottles, jars, or cans in different sizes, ready to be sold. Sometimes, it's sold directly to customers at the sugar shack or farm stand, giving people a chance to buy fresh, local syrup. Bigger producers usually sell through stores or wholesalers. No matter how it's sold, the grading system helps customers know what kind of syrup they're buying and helps producers manage expectations about flavor and quality. For smaller operations, the personal connection with customers is important, and many syrup makers offer tastings and advice on which syrup works best for different recipes. The grading system has changed over time to make syrup quality the same across North America. Today, most syrup is graded by standards like US Grade A and Grade B. Grading ensures the syrup is consistent in flavor, clarity, and look, which helps producers keep their customers' trust. It also lets customers choose the type of syrup they like best. By keeping these standards, the maple syrup industry makes sure customers can enjoy good quality syrup every year, no matter where it's made. After the syrup is filtered and graded, it moves to the final step, bottling and packaging. The syrup is put into containers of different sizes, from small glass bottles for personal use to large jugs for bulk buyers. Bottling is done carefully to keep the syrup's quality intact, as it is perishable. To prevent contamination and spoilage, the syrup is usually bottled while it's still hot, between 190 degrees Fahrenheit and 200 degrees Fahrenheit, 88 degrees Celsius to 93 degrees Celsius. This hot bottling process seals the syrup in an airtight container, helping it stay fresh and flavorful. Once bottled, the syrup is checked one last time to make sure it meets quality standards before being sold. Packaging is not only important for keeping the syrup fresh, but also for marketing and branding. Syrup bottles are often designed to stand out, with labels that show the syrup's grade, production methods, and local origins. Many small producers use handcrafted packaging and labels to highlight the care and quality of their syrup. Larger producers may use more standard packaging for retail sales. In both cases, the goal is to create an attractive package that gives consumers all the important details about the product. Good packaging can help build loyal customers and make the syrup stand out in a crowded market. Once the syrup is in its final container, it is sealed and labeled. It may be checked one last time for consistency and quality. Syrup that doesn't meet the standards for flavor, clarity, or color is often rejected or used for other purposes, like being sold as cooking-grade syrup or in bulk. High-quality syrup is ready to be shipped out for sale in local stores, grocery stores, or online. Many producers also sell their syrup directly from the farm or at events like maple festivals, giving customers a chance to buy fresh, local syrup. This personal touch lets customers connect with the syrup's source and help support the local economy. Maple syrup is popular because of its rich flavor, cultural importance, and the careful process used to make it. From the indigenous peoples of North America, who first discovered its sweetness, to today's producers, who still make it with care, maple syrup is more than just a sweetener. It's a symbol of tradition and skill. Its unique, natural taste attracts many people, and its use in both breakfast and cooking has made it even more popular. The process of making maple syrup, tapping trees, collecting sap, and boiling it down, has stayed mostly the same for centuries, keeping it authentic and high quality. As more people look for natural, high-quality products, maple syrup is still a popular choice because it's made with care and skill. Consumers now care more about where their food comes from and how it's made, and maple syrup's reputation for being pure and sustainably harvested fits well with these values. Maple syrup is popular worldwide because it can be used in many dishes, from pancakes to marinades and desserts. Its natural sweetness and rich flavor attract health-conscious people who prefer whole, less processed foods. Also, the growing interest in sustainable farming and supporting local, family-owned businesses has helped maple syrup become even more popular. Maple syrup has stayed popular over the years because of its authentic flavor and versatility. As more people seek natural and handmade products, maple syrup will likely continue to be a favorite, loved for its unique taste and the care put into making it. So, what do you think? Are you a fan of maple syrup? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it out, some of these other Process Powerhouse videos. Stick around, there's even more exciting moments and processes coming up next. There was a time when a glass of orange juice was just as common at breakfast as the sun coming up, bright, familiar, and always there. But somewhere along the way, things changed. Maybe it was the busy mornings, new trends, or just a habit that faded without anyone realizing. But even now, one sip brings it all back. The sweet tang, the refreshing taste, that feeling of a relaxed morning. So, here's the question. When did we stop pouring, and why haven't we started again? Well, let's find out how orange juice is made in a factory. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Process Powerhouse channel. Leave us a comment to let us know what mealtime favorites you'd like to see next. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find a carton so old it's eligible for a senior discount. For most of history, people loved eating oranges, but drinking them took a bit longer to become popular. Oranges were eaten fresh, dried, or made into marmalade, and while some people might have squeezed a bit of juice now and then, it wasn't a daily thing. The push for orange juice began in the 18th century, thanks to sailors who were getting seriously sick. Long sea trips caused scurvy, a disease from a lack of vitamin C that made gums bleed, teeth fall out, and spirits drop fast. In the 1740s, British naval doctor James Lind found that citrus fruits could prevent scurvy, and the British Navy started giving sailors lime juice, which is why they were called limeys. But oranges were still mostly seen as a snack, not a drink. By the early 20th century, America had a problem: too many oranges and not enough people eating them. Farmers in Florida and California were growing a lot of citrus and needed to sell it before it spoiled. In 1916, Sunkist came up with a clever campaign to get people to drink an orange. The idea was simple. Instead of eating the fruit, why not squeeze it into a glass? It worked. Sales of orange juice went up, and squeezing fresh juice at home became part of breakfast. But the big change came during World War II, when the US Army needed to give soldiers vitamin C without shipping fresh fruit. The solution? Frozen concentrated orange juice. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. And after the war, brands like Minute Maid made it a popular household item. Just add water, stir, and enjoy. By the 1950s and 60s, orange juice was a must-have at breakfast. TV ads showed happy families starting their day with a tall, refreshing glass, and slogans like, "It's not just for breakfast anymore," helped boost sales. Supermarkets filled their shelves with fresh juice, frozen concentrate, and eventually, the popular not-from-concentrate cartons. For years, orange juice was as common at breakfast as eggs and toast. But like all trends, its popularity started to fade. As time went on, people became more concerned about sugar content, and busy lifestyles meant fewer sit-down breakfasts, so orange juice slowly lost its place at the table. Even with the rise of cold brew coffee, protein shakes, and the latest superfood smoothies, orange juice is still a classic. That first sip gives you the same sweet, tangy taste, whether it's fresh squeezed, store-bought, or in a mimosa at brunch. It might not be the top breakfast drink anymore, but let's face it, some things are just too good to disappear. Enough history lessons. Let's take a look inside the factory. The process starts with sourcing the oranges, which is key to making sure the final product is tasty and high quality. The main types of oranges used for juice are Valencia and navel oranges. While navel oranges are mostly eaten fresh because of their thick skin and easy peel, Valencia oranges are juicier and have a slightly tangy sweetness, making them the top choice for mass production. These oranges grow in warm places like Florida, California, and Brazil, where plenty of sunlight, moderate rainfall, and rich soil help produce the best fruit. Florida, in particular, is known for supplying most of the US orange juice, while Brazil is the world's biggest orange juice exporter, meeting much of the global demand. Each region has its own harvest season, with Florida's running from November to June and California's from December to March. During harvest, growers aim to pick the oranges when they're perfectly ripe, as the juice tastes best at that point. The process starts with hand-picking the fruit, making sure to handle delicate varieties carefully to avoid bruising, which can affect the flavor. For larger operations, mechanical harvesters may be used, which shake the fruit off the tree and catch it in nets. However, hand-picking is still the best way to keep the fruit quality high and ensure only the best oranges are used for juice. Once the oranges are picked, they are quickly sent to the processing plant, usually in refrigerated trucks, to keep them fresh. This fast transport is important because if the fruit is left in the sun or heat, the juice quality can drop. The fruit is still alive, and oxidation starts right after it's picked, so keeping it cool is key to preserving the juice's taste. The quality of the fruit is the first step, and if the oranges aren't fresh and top quality, it will show in the final juice. When the fruit arrives at the processing plant, It's carefully checked to make sure no damaged or overripe oranges are used for juicing. Any fruit that's harmed during transport or harvest can make the juice taste sour or bitter. Sorting the fruit by ripeness and quality helps ensure that only the best oranges are used. Some factories use advanced sorting machines that scan each fruit to find issues like color differences or imperfections. This makes sure the juicing process goes smoothly and the final product is consistent and high quality. When the oranges arrive at the processing plant, they are quickly moved to the washing area for a thorough cleaning. This step is important to remove dirt, pesticides, and any other residues from the orchards or transport. The washing is done in large water tanks, and some plants use special cleaners or scrubbing systems to make sure every orange is clean. High-pressure water jets are then used for a final rinse to get rid of any leftover soap or residue. Since the juice will touch the fruit's skin, it's crucial that the oranges are completely free of any harmful chemicals or dirt that could end up in the juice. After washing, the oranges are sorted by size, ripeness, and quality. This sorting process uses both machines and people to make sure only the best fruit is chosen for juicing. Oranges that are damaged or too ripe are taken out. They may be thrown away, used for other products, or sent to a market where lower quality fruit can still be sold. Some factories use optical sorting systems with sensors and cameras to automatically remove fruit that doesn't meet the quality standards, getting rid of any blemished or overripe pieces. The sorting process ensures that the juice is consistent and high quality. For example, when processing a lot of fruit from different groves or regions, the fruit needs to be sorted by ripeness. Unripe fruit can make the juice sour and less tasty, while overripe fruit can cause a fermented or off taste. Sorting is key because the taste and quality of the juice depend on how fresh and ripe the fruit is. Manufacturers take extra care with this step to make sure the final product meets customers' expectations for flavor, texture, and consistency. Another part of sorting is deciding which oranges go into different products. For example, some oranges are saved for fresh squeezed juices or not from concentrate juices, while others are used for concentrated juice. This helps make sure each batch of juice is made with the right oranges for the right product, keeping things consistent across different types of juice. Sorting the oranges by quality and ripeness also makes it easier to match the fruit to the needs of the production line. Once the oranges are sorted and cleaned, they're ready to be juiced. This is where the real extraction happens. The most common method is mechanical pressing, where the oranges are cut in half and placed in juicing machines. These machines use pressure and rotating blades to squeeze the juice out of the fruit. The goal is to get as much juice as possible without crushing the seeds or pulp, as they can make the juice bitter or grainy. The juice flows through holes in the machine while the rind and other solid parts are left behind. Recently, cold-pressed juicing has become more popular, especially for premium juices. Cold pressing works differently. Instead of using heat or mechanical pressure, the oranges are put in a hydraulic press, where a lot of pressure is applied to extract the juice. This method helps keep more of the natural vitamins, enzymes, and flavors in the fruit. Unlike traditional juicing, where heat can destroy some nutrients, cold pressing keeps the juice tasting fresh and maintains its nutritional value. While it's slower and requires special equipment, making it more expensive, cold-pressed juice has become known for being a high-end, healthy option. The juice is then filtered to remove any seeds, pulp, or other solids that might have gotten in during extraction. Filtration is usually done with fine mesh screens that let the juice pass through while trapping the impurities. Depending on the type of juice, some pulp may be kept in, giving it a thicker texture, while other juices are strained several times for a smoother, clearer look. Juice with pulp often tastes more natural, while pulp-free juice has a cleaner, lighter flavor. After the juice is filtered, it's either stored in large tanks or prepared for pasteurization or concentration. At this point, manufacturers may also start blending different batches to make sure the flavor is consistent. Since oranges can taste slightly different depending on where they're grown or which batch they come from, blending helps create the right flavor. Some manufacturers might add extra vitamin C to boost the juice or keep it fresh, though many prefer to keep it as natural as possible. Pasteurization is an important step in making orange juice because it makes sure the juice is safe to drink and lasts longer. The juice is heated to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Celsius, and kept at that temperature for 1-2 minutes. This process kills harmful bacteria and other microorganisms that could spoil the juice. While pasteurization can change the juice a bit by reducing some of its delicate flavors and nutrients, like vitamin C, it's necessary to keep the juice safe and fresh during transport and storage. There are two main ways to pasteurize juice: flash pasteurization and high-temperature short-time (HTST) pasteurization. Flash pasteurization is more common for large-scale juice production. It heats the juice quickly to the right temperature and then cools it down fast. HTST is similar, but uses a bit longer heating times. Both methods kill harmful microorganisms without changing the juice's flavor and texture too much. Manufacturers adjust the temperature and time to make sure the juice is safe without overcooking it. Some premium juice makers use alternative methods to pasteurization, like high-pressure processing, HPP. Instead of using heat, HPP uses very high pressure to kill bacteria. The juice is placed in a special chamber and exposed to pressures up to 87,000 psi. This method kills harmful bacteria without heat, helping to keep the flavor and nutrients better than traditional pasteurization. HPP is often used for cold-pressed juices that focus on maintaining the fresh taste and health benefits of the fruit. Though more expensive, HPP makes high-quality juice that tastes as close to freshly squeezed as possible. Despite its benefits, pasteurization is still the most common method for large-scale juice production because it's efficient and affordable. It allows manufacturers to make large amounts of juice that can be safely stored, shipped, and sold around the world. While consumers might not always notice small flavor differences between pasteurized and fresh juices, pasteurization is important for keeping orange juice safe, long-lasting, and available. Whether using traditional pasteurization or newer methods like HPP, this step is key to making sure the juice is safe to drink at home. For some orange juice products, especially those labeled "from concentrate," the juice goes through a process that removes some of its water. The juice is heated in a vacuum, which makes the water evaporate at lower temperatures. This removes about 60 to 65% of the water, making the juice smaller in volume and easier to store and ship. This process helps lower shipping costs because the juice takes up less space. The concentrated juice is then stored in large tanks or frozen to keep its quality. Once the juice is ready to be restored, the concentrated juice is mixed with water to bring it back to its original form. The amount of water added is carefully measured to make sure the flavor, texture, and nutrition stay the same as the original juice. Some manufacturers mix concentrates from different regions or harvests to keep the taste consistent throughout the year. For juices that are concentrated and then restored, it's important to have a steady supply of fresh fruit to make sure each batch of concentrate meets the required quality and flavor standards. While concentrated juice is common and more affordable, the process can change the flavor a bit compared to fresh squeezed juice. The evaporation process removes some of the fresh, citrusy aroma and taste. To fix this, many manufacturers add flavor packs made from the same oranges used in the juice. These packs contain oils and other compounds that help bring back the fresh flavor. Adding flavor packs is a standard practice to make sure the juice tastes consistent. The concentration process is important for producing juice on a large scale, especially for shipping juice worldwide or for products with a long shelf life. Even though it changes the flavor a little, concentrated juice is a key part of the juice industry because it's a reliable and cost-effective way to distribute juice while keeping most of the fruit's flavor. For those who want a fresher, more natural option, non-concentrated juices and cold-pressed varieties are often preferred, but they usually cost more because of the more complex production methods. After the juice is extracted and filtered, manufacturers may adjust the flavor, especially when using juice from different harvests or regions. Oranges, like other fruits, can taste slightly different because of things like soil, weather, and when they were picked. This can cause small changes in sweetness, acidity, and taste. To make sure the flavor stays consistent, manufacturers blend different batches of juice together. Blending is a careful process that needs close attention. The goal is to make a juice that tastes the same no matter when it's made, which can be tricky with fresh fruit. For example, one batch of juice might be too sour, while another could be too sweet. By mixing juices from different places, manufacturers can make sure the juice is always sweet, tangy, and refreshing. This is especially important for 100% orange juice, so customers always get the same taste every time they buy a bottle. Some companies also use flavor packs to adjust the taste of the juice. These packs are made from concentrated orange juice and oils from the peel and zest. They help boost the flavor and smell, making the juice taste more like fresh squeezed, especially after pasteurization or concentration. Flavor packs are used in small amounts and usually come from the same type of oranges used in the juice. For 100% orange juice, the packs are used sparingly but help ensure the flavor stays consistent. Blending is also important when making juice blends, like mixing orange juice with tropical fruits like mango or pineapple. The different juices are combined to make sure they taste, feel, and sweeten just right together. Manufacturers adjust the blend during production to get the flavor balance that customers like. These careful adjustments are what create the familiar taste of orange juice we all enjoy. Packaging is an important step in the juice production process, as it keeps the juice fresh and safe from the factory to the store. After pasteurization and/or concentration, the juice is packed in different containers like cartons, plastic bottles, and glass bottles. The type of packaging depends on factors like how long the juice needs to last, whether it's fresh or concentrated, and marketing plans. Aseptic packaging is often used for juice with a long shelf life. The juice is pasteurized and then put in sterile containers so it doesn't need refrigeration until open, making it easy for consumers and cheaper for manufacturers. Aseptic packaging works by sealing the juice in a way that keeps out bacteria, air, and light, helping it stay fresh for months. The packaging material is chosen to protect the juice from light and air, which can spoil it over time. Many brands use cartons made of paperboard and aluminum to keep the juice fresh. The juice is filled into these containers in a clean environment to avoid contamination. Once sealed, the cartons are ready for shipping and storage. This method lets juice be sent over long distances without needing refrigeration, greatly extending its shelf life. For high-end juices like cold-pressed types, manufacturers might use glass bottles or plastic containers that show off the juice's fresh and natural look. These containers often have a more natural feel and are liked by people who care about sustainability and the environment. Although glass bottles are heavier and break more easily than plastic, many consumers are willing to pay more for juices in glass bottles because they seem more pure and authentic. This packaging is also used when brands want to emphasize the quality of their product, as glass is often linked to premium goods. Packaging also includes adding labels and branding. Labels give important details about the juice, like nutritional facts, ingredients, and sometimes where the fruit comes from. The design of the packaging is also important because it needs to catch the eye and attract customers. For orange juice, packaging can range from modern bottles to classic rustic cartons. The design is shaped by marketing trends and what customers expect, making sure the product appeals to its target audience while showing the brand's focus on quality. Orange juice has stayed one of the most popular drinks worldwide because of its great taste, convenience, and nutritional benefits. Its natural sweetness, refreshing flavor, and bright color make it a classic choice, especially for breakfast. Over time, improvements like pasteurization, concentration, and new packaging have made sure orange juice is always available, safe, fresh, and consistent in quality, no matter the season or location. These changes have also made it possible to ship it worldwide, so it can be enjoyed all year long, no matter where it's made. Orange juice has stayed popular by adapting to different tastes, offering options like cold-pressed, organic, and from concentrate. Its natural health benefits, like being full of vitamin C, also keep it in line with health trends. As long as it still gives that refreshing, sunny taste, orange juice is likely to stay a kitchen staple. With its consistent quality, new ideas, and connection to our daily habits, orange juice is set to remain a favorite for many years. Orange juice is more than just a drink. It's a part of daily life and tradition. From a morning glass to holiday meals and brunches with friends, it's linked to rituals that give it special meaning. This connection has helped keep it a symbol of energy, refreshment, and comfort. As brands introduce new flavors, packaging, and health-focused options, orange juice remains popular by sticking to what people love while adapting to new trends. Stick around, there's even more exciting moments and processes coming up next. Sour Patch Kids have been surprising our taste buds for years, with that sour kick followed by a sweet twist. But have they always been like this, or has something changed? Were they more sour before, or is it just our memories? Maybe it's our taste buds that have changed. Well, let's find out how Sour Patch Kids are made in a factory. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Process Powerhouse channel. Leave us a comment to let us know what mealtime favorites you'd like to see next. Just don't ask us for the recipe. We still can't get that sourness out of our mouths. Sour Patch Kids have a history as sweet and sour as the candy itself. They were originally called Mars Men when first made in 1979 by Johann's Confectionery. These sour treats were meant to be a fun twist on regular gummy candy, like a superhero in the candy world. But when Mars Men didn't quite catch on, maybe the name was too weird, the candy was given a new look and renamed Sour Patch Kids in the 1980s. The new name came from the Little Rascals, mischievous kids who were sweet one moment and causing trouble the next. They were like that friend who's fun at the party but might steal your fries when you're not looking. Who doesn't like a little mischief with their snacks? Sour Patch. Kids hit the shelves and quickly became popular with both kids and adults because of their perfect mix of sour and sweet. It was like a candy roller coaster, no long lines or screaming, but you might make a sour face before the sweet part kicks in. And let's be honest, you've probably had a moment where you toss a handful in your mouth, hoping to find your favorite flavor. They were so bad, they were good. Over time, they've added new flavors, like blue raspberry, because why not? But let's face it, we're still fans of the original flavors. They're like classic rock in the candy world. They never go out of style. So, the sour coating? It's made from citric acid, which is what makes you pucker up like you've bitten into a lemon. It's a mix of sour and sweet all at once, but somehow we keep coming back for more because we'll take the sour to get to the sweet. After all, we live in a world where we willingly go for that sour kick in exchange for a quick sugar rush. So, next time you eat a Sour Patch Kid, just remember, it's not just a snack. It's a bit of candy history and a lot of flavor chaos. Embrace the sour, enjoy the sweet, and maybe share, or not, because we all know that one person who'll take the last one. And that's the sweet and sour history of Sour Patch Kids. Now, let's see how these little troublemakers are made. The journey of Sour Patch Kids starts with picking the best ingredients, each adding to the candy's unique taste and texture. The main ingredients, sugar, corn syrup, and gelatin, are the key parts of the candy. Sugar gives the sweetness that balances the sour flavor, making it taste sugary after the sour hit. Corn syrup gives the candy its chewy texture, making each Sour Patch Kid satisfying to bite into. Gelatin helps the candy hold its shape and keeps it soft but firm. This mix of softness and structure is what makes Sour Patch Kids so popular. Finally, food coloring is added to make the candy bright and colorful, so it's easy to spot on the store shelf. Getting high-quality citric acid is an important part of making the candy. Citric acid, usually from fruits like lemons and limes, is sometimes made in labs for larger batches to keep things the same every time. It's the key ingredient that gives Sour Patch Kids their strong sour taste, the kind that makes you pucker up right away. This sour coating is a big reason fans keep coming back, and it pairs perfectly with the candy's sweetness. The way the sourness hits first, then the sweetness follows, makes the candy stand out from others. For those who like a challenge, that first sour punch makes you want to grab another one. To make sure only the best ingredients are used, Sour Patch Kids are made with products from trusted suppliers who follow strict quality checks. These suppliers must ensure their ingredients meet high standards for taste, safety, and purity. For example, corn syrup has to meet specific sweetness levels to balance the flavors, and gelatin needs to be of the right grade to give the chewy texture. This attention to detail ensures every batch of Sour Patch Kids is the same. No matter when or where you buy them, they should always taste and feel the same. And that starts with using the best ingredients. When the ingredients arrive at the factory, they go through a series of tests to check that the flavor, texture, and quality are consistent. This is important because even small changes in ingredients can affect the candy. The process is very sensitive, so thorough testing ensures that every batch of Sour Patch Kids stays the same in taste and texture. This careful attention during the sourcing and testing stages makes sure that each bag of Sour Patch Kids you buy has the perfect mix of sweet, sour, and chewy goodness. After the ingredients are tested and ready, they are mixed into a smooth base. In big mixers, sugar, corn syrup, water, and gelatin are combined. The gelatin must fully dissolve to avoid any clumps that could mess up the candy's chewy texture. The mixture is then heated to the right temperature to make sure everything blends evenly. This step is important because if the heat is off, the texture could turn grainy or uneven, affecting the final candy. As the mixture heats up, candy makers slowly add flavorings and food coloring, which are key to both the taste and look of the candy. This is when Sour Patch Kids start to take shape. Each batch might have different flavors or colors, depending on the type of candy being made. For example, the red Sour Patch Kids taste like strawberry, while the green ones have a tangy lime flavor. These flavorings are chosen carefully to match the sour coating and make sure the candy tastes great and gives a balanced, enjoyable experience. Adding food coloring at this stage is important to give Sour Patch Kids their bright, bold colors. The colors are carefully measured to get the right look. If too much is used, the candies could look too colorful, while too little might make them look dull. Finding the right balance is important to make sure each Sour Patch Kid looks as good as it tastes. The goal of this mixing process is to make a smooth mixture that can easily be poured into molds. It needs to be just the right thickness, not too thick, which would make it hard to pour, and not too thin, which could stop the candy from setting right. Getting the consistency just right is what gives Sour Patch Kids their smooth, chewy texture and bright color that people love. Once the candy mixture is ready, it's poured into molds made of metal or silicone to keep them strong and precise. These molds shape the candy into the famous kid figure, and a light layer of cornstarch is added to stop the candy from sticking. This cornstarch coating helps the candy come out of the mold once it's cooled and firmed up. Shaping the candy is an important step because it ensures each Sour Patch Kid is the same size and shape in every batch. After the candy mixture is poured into molds, it's left to cool and harden. This can take a few hours or up to a day, depending on how thick the candy is. During this time, the candy gets its chewy texture and the kid shape forms. The cooling process is important because it allows the gelatin to set and the candy to firm up. If it cools too quickly or isn't given enough time, the candy might not be as chewy or may not hold its shape properly, so the timing is crucial. As the candy cools, it's carefully watched to make sure it reaches the right texture. The gelatin works during this time to give the candy its chewy feel. At this point, the candy is still plain and waiting to become the sweet and sour treat we know. Workers regularly check to make sure the candy is setting properly and not sticking. Once it's fully cooled, the Sour Patch Kids are carefully taken out of the molds. With the cornstarch helping them come out easily, the candies are still a little soft and sticky, but now look like the fun shapes we recognize. What really makes Sour Patch Kids different from other candies is their unique sour sugar coating. Once the candy is molded and shaped, it's moved to big tumbling machines where it gets covered in a mix of sugar and citric acid. The citric acid is key to giving the candy its signature sour taste, making your mouth pucker with that burst of tartness as soon as you take a bite. The sour sugar is applied generously, making sure each candy is fully coated with the tangy mix. The tumbling process is key to making sure the sour coating is spread evenly. As the candies rotate in the tumbling drum, every side gets covered in sour sugar so no piece is missed. The right amount of sour sugar is very important. Too little, and the candy won't be sour enough. Too much, and it could cover up the sweetness. Getting this balance right is tricky, so the team has to be careful to make sure each candy has the right mix of sour and sweet. Citric acid does more than just make the candy sour. It also leaves a tangy aftertaste that sticks around after the sweetness fades, giving you a two-step flavor experience. This mix of sweet and sour is what makes Sour Patch Kids so hard to resist. The sour sugar coating is the candy's signature feature, and without it, Sour Patch Kids wouldn't be as exciting. After coating the candies, any extra sour sugar is shaken off, and they're left to cool and dry. This helps the sour sugar stay on properly and keeps the candies looking fresh and bright. After the sour sugar is added, the Sour Patch Kids go through a drying and cooling process to make sure they keep their chewy texture. If they're not dried correctly, the coating could get sticky, and the candies might stick together, ruining the quality. This stage also gives the gelatin more time to set, so each piece stays chewy and satisfying, just like fans expect. Without this step, the candy wouldn't have its usual texture. The drying happens in special rooms or machines that control the temperature and humidity to make sure the candies dry evenly. These rooms and machines help keep the candies from becoming too soft or too hard. The candies are carefully checked during this time to make sure they stay chewy. If they hold too much moisture, they get too soft, but drying them too much makes them tough and less enjoyable. This step needs to be done just right to get the perfect texture for Sour Patch Kids. During drying, the candies are rotated and mixed regularly to stop them from sticking together. If they start clumping, workers step in to separate them by hand. This extra care keeps the candy's shape and quality intact, making sure no Sour Patch Kid gets stuck or loses its signature form. The candies are closely watched to make sure they stay fresh and chewy, without becoming too sticky or too dry. Once the drying is done, the Sour Patch Kids are firm, chewy, and perfectly flavored, ready for the final check before they're sent out to consumers. Quality control is key to making sure Sour Patch Kids stay consistent and high quality. After drying and cooling, the candies are checked carefully to ensure they meet standards for size, shape, flavor, and look. Both machines and people help with this process to catch any flaws. Machines are set to find any size issues and quickly separate candies that don't meet the right measurements. Human workers also check the candies by hand to make sure they have the right sour sugar coating and aren't broken or misshapen. This inspection helps spot any small flaws that machines might miss. Inspectors look for things like uneven coating or small shape issues. If anything is wrong, those candies are thrown out or sent back to be fixed. The quality control process also checks that the sour coating is consistent. Sour Patch Kids are known for their perfect balance of sour and sweet, so it's important that every candy has the right amount of sour coating. If some candies are too sour or not sour enough, they are removed to keep the flavor the same. This step helps make sure each batch is just as good as the last. Once the Sour Patch Kids pass the visual inspection and quality checks, they're ready for packaging. This step makes sure every bag has candies that look and taste just right. Consistency in shape, size, and flavor is important because fans expect the same great experience every time. After passing quality control, Sour Patch Kids move on to packaging. Each candy is weighed and portioned to make sure every bag has the right amount. Packaging machines fill bags with Sour Patch Kids, checking the weight for accuracy. The bags are then sealed to keep them fresh and prevent air or moisture from getting in. Proper sealing is important because the air can change the candy's texture and make them lose their chewy bite. The packaging process also makes sure Sour Patch Kids stand out. The bags are printed with bright, fun designs that make them easy to spot on store shelves. These bold designs attract customers and highlight the candy's playful vibe. Each bag is sealed tightly to keep the candy fresh, so when you open it, the Sour Patch Kids taste just as fresh and flavorful as when they were made. The bags also play an important role in protecting the candy during transport and storage. Since Sour Patch Kids are gummy and a bit sticky, the packaging needs to be strong enough to keep them from getting damaged or sticking together. The bags are made to handle shipping and keep the sour coating intact. They also help keep moisture out, which could cause the candy to clump or lose its texture. Once sealed and packed, the Sour Patch Kids are ready to be sent to warehouses. From there, they start their journey to stores, making sure they're always available for you to grab whenever you want a quick, sour treat. Once the Sour Patch Kids are packaged, they're ready to head to warehouses across the country. The candy is loaded into large containers and shipped by truck to different distribution centers. This process is key to getting the candy to stores everywhere. From the warehouses, the candy is sorted and sent to stores, so it's available at your local grocery store, convenience store, or candy aisle. At the warehouses, Sour Patch Kids are kept in temperature-controlled rooms to keep them fresh. Sour candy can be affected by heat or humidity, which can change its texture or cause it to clump. To prevent this, the temperature and humidity are carefully controlled, keeping the candy in the best condition. This storage ensures that Sour Patch Kids stay as fresh as when they first left the factory. Once the candy arrives at the warehouse, it's organized based on where it's needed. For example, if a store needs more Sour Patch Kids for a busy time like Halloween, staff will gather the right amount and get them ready for shipping. This system makes sure stores always have enough Sour Patch Kids, no matter the season. Once everything is sorted, it's ready to be sent to stores, so it stays fresh for you to enjoy. Sour Patch Kids are popular because of their mix of sour and sweet flavors, which make them stand out and keep people coming back. The sour burst followed by the sweet taste creates a fun and exciting flavor that sets them apart from other candies. Over time, the brand has added new flavors while keeping the classic taste fans love. The fun branding, chewy texture, and bright colors also make them a treat that's not only tasty but also looks great. Sour Patch Kids stay popular because they focus on consistency and quality. From testing ingredients to carefully making each batch, every piece gives the same great experience. This reliability has helped keep fans loyal. The brand also stays fresh by using new marketing ideas and connecting with fans, which keeps things exciting. In short, Sour Patch Kids remain popular because they've perfected making candy that's both classic and fun. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Your thumb gets a workout, and we get the love. And if you haven't subscribed to the Process Powerhouse channel yet, seriously, what are you waiting for? A VIP invitation. Come on, hit that button. Got a factory process you're curious about? Drop it in the comments. We might just make it happen. No promises on a conveyor belt cameo, though.